Wow. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Epic Picture Time. So this week actually is going to be going a little bit differently. I'm going to be trying a new technique that I've actually never tried before. It is going to be long exposure photography. So I'm sure many of you have actually seen these epic looking pictures with cars zooming by and you got those light trails. So I'm going to try an attempt to copy, well not really copy, but experiment with this type of technique because I've actually never tried it before. Now, there are three main things that you would have to actually be working with when working with long exposure photography. And those three things are shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Granted, those things are the main functions of your camera. Shutter speed is going to be the main thing that you have to worry about, as the shutter speed controls the movement of how long the shutter of your camera is actually open. So shutter speed is going to allow and disallow the amount of motion coming through, because it's going to be either open for a longer period of time or shorter period of time. So you could go from something being in focus one going by at a faster shutter speed, or something being blurred out at a slower shutter speed. So now with long exposure photography, you're going to want your shutter speed to be around 5 seconds depending on the situation that you're trying to capture. The second thing that you're going to have to worry about is aperture. Aperture now is going to be the opening and closing of the rings in your lens, actually. So this one is not going to be as important as shutter speed, since aperture is mostly just allowing the amount of light coming in. So normally when you're taking pictures, for aperture controls the depth of field of your pictures. So if you want a more blurry background, you're going to want a lower aperture, so around 1.4, so what I've been taking previously in my previous videos. And if you want everything to be in focus and not really any differentiation from your foreground and your background, you're going to want a higher aperture. Now with ISO, that is going to be your camera sensor sensitivity to light. Now with ISO, you're going to want a lower ISO rating, maybe around 100 to start you off, because when you get up in the higher ranges like 1,000 to 2,000, your image is going to be really grainy because there's going to be so much light hitting your sensor. Alrighty, so those are the three main things that you're going to have to worry about when trying to get the perfect long exposure photo. Another tidbit that you're actually going to need is a tripod. The tripod is going to allow you to eliminate any excess movement when you're holding the camera, because if you're someone like me who shakes a lot, the tripod is going to eliminate any excess shake, because you're going to want to be able to keep the camera stationary at all times when trying to take a long exposure photo. The next thing that I would also do is change your camera to manual mode, because then that is going to allow you to change all the settings that I just talked about. So it's going to give you more wide range of customizability to get the picture looking the way you want it. And finally, the final setting that I would change is putting your camera into timer mode. Almost all DSLRs and mirrorless cameras have this setting, so I would either change it to either 2 seconds to 3 seconds, just so it allows the camera to prepare itself to start taking a picture. So what you would do, you just change it to 2 seconds, click the trigger, and then the camera will wait that amount of time that you selected, and then it'll take the picture. This will eliminate any of the shaking that happens when you engage the camera. And now that we've got all those settings and important stuff out of the way, let's get outside and try and get some of these pictures taken.
The next day.
Alrighty, everybody, it is the second day, but I'm actually been graced with rain today, so I'm going to try and venture out to get some long exposure with rain, to see how that turns out. I'm actually looking forward to this because rain usually helps bring out cool light effects with long exposure photography, so I'm hoping for the best. Alrighty everybody, it finally is dark enough to actually get some good long exposure pictures, so let's head on over. Alrighty everybody, so this is the first image that I took over Hanson Road on the overpass of Interstate 41 in Green Bay, and I just want to say, oh my gosh, I am impressed of all of these images that I have taken on this adventure. Alrighty everybody, we're on Hanson Road, actually in Green Bay. Gonna try and get some pictures of Highway 41 because we're overlooking the highway, so I'm gonna try and get some good shots. With this being the first time I've actually played with long exposure photography, I'm just going to have to say that my three favorites out of the entire adventure were over Hanson Road, as that was the most exposure I had with all of those light trails. So this first one I really enjoyed as it has the most cars coming by. The second one, it's a pretty good phone wallpaper. I actually set this as my wallpaper right now. It's one I'm really impressed with all these images. I'm just astounded by all three images with their composition and the leading lines. And this third one, it's just a little bit zoomed out than the previous one, but again, I'm just astounded by the quality of images that came out of this adventure. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like freaking out right now. Alrighty everybody, this wraps up this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little bell icon, because then you'll be notified whenever I make a new video. Please let me know how I'm doing. I really would like to know your guys' feedback of how I'm doing, what needs to be improved, and if there's any photography technique that you guys would like me to check out next. Hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, always be creating, be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys in the next one.